Okay, so this time of year, I like to go out and look at the trees and look around the outbuildings and so on. And I like to collect paper wasp nests because they're kind of interesting. This particular wasp nest is only about 4 inches in diameter, and I took this one out from under the lid on our propane tank. And this was a couple of weeks ago. I brought it inside and I sat it on the kitchen table. And there were 2 capped cells, but I just assumed those were wasps that failed to hatch. And just a couple of days ago, I'm walking by the kitchen table, and there you have it. This wasp had hatched out, and it's just sitting on the nest. Now, I put this nest on a glass in order to make this video and take some pictures. The nests themselves are very interesting, and just like bees, once a wasp is in its pupa state, which means it's capped over, it doesn't require any nutrition. Now, the other thing is, I'm not sure what the temperature requirements are for a wasp to hatch. Our house is generally 67 degrees Fahrenheit this time of year. And this wasp just hatched out on its own. And you'll notice there's a nice puffy white domed cell right there. So that's also covered. And there is a wasp in there. So I again assume that that one wouldn't hatch, that this would just be another curious ornament to have to look at. It is interesting to see the way the wasp nest is made. They're called paper wasps for a reason. They use cellulose. They chew it up and they compose their nests pretty fast. And it would be interesting to get a time-lapse video of a wasp making its own nest. And we have to assume this time of year that these hatched out wasps are going to be queens, which means they wouldn't stick around. They would fly away, and in the spring, if they survive winter, and I believe their survival rates are pretty low, but if you have a mild winter, you can anticipate having lots of wasps in the spring. Honeybees gather together, and of course they use their body temperature and they use honey resources to get through winter as a social insect, where wasps will survive winter in a solitary state. Now again, this sat here for 2 weeks and nothing happened. A wasp takes 30 days to hatch out, where a honeybee from egg to hatch is 21 days, just like a chicken egg. And so I took some pictures of this one, and I thought I would share the video sequences with you on YouTube. I have to be honest and say that the more I observe wasps and the more I learn about their habits and behaviors, and of course their engineering, which is well demonstrated here with this interesting paper, hexagonal cells, just like honeybees, 6-sided cells. And this, of course, is one of the more timid species of wasp, and it isn't trying to defend the nest or anything, but I should have taken a cue from the fact that it did hover around, and it was kind of sensing this little puffed out remaining covered cell. Now ultimately, it warmed up, flapped its wings, vibrated its wings, much like bees do when they're shivering their muscles in order to warm up their thorax so that they can fly. And this one just flew off the nest one day. And of course my wife found it by the pantry and sent it on its way outside. Now on a day like today, outside it's actually 40 degrees, hovering around 40, 39. Wasps like this one, and yellow jackets and bald-faced hornets, which are also wasps, are making their way around, and they're still foraging. The honeybees are staying inside. Now look what happened here. I ignored the nest, and that's to the right of the screen here is that white capped over cell, and it hatched. So no sooner did the other wasp leave than the other one in this otherwise dormant nest hatched on its own, and she's sitting here recovering. Just happened to walk by and notice that there was activity on the nest. And again, this thing is just sitting on her kitchen table. So I'm guessing, and I'm hoping that someone with better understanding of wasp physiology will take a look at this and tell me if this is a queen or, what it is. And of course, like I always do, I put a little droplet of sugar water there to see if it could give it some energy. And this one did pretty much the same thing. It hung around on this nest in the kitchen for about 4 days before it decided to take flight. And of course, it went to the window, and then we collected it from the window and put it outside. Wasps are fascinating, and I'm hoping that you'll take time to pay closer attention to what these things do. The first response for most beekeepers is, see a wasp, kill a wasp. But I'm not so sure that they're that big of a problem. Some species are worse than others. This one in particular is pretty laid back. When I see them at drinkers, they are no problem. I have never had one harass me. I hope you found this video sequence interesting. I hope you'll take time to really look at and understand a little more about wasps and the important role they're playing in pest control in your bee yards. Thanks for watching.